Hi everyone, and welcome to the second game of round 4 from the Star City Games Invitational Qualifier Tournament in Doncaster. Game 1 saw Quentin Martin attack for somewhere around 60 with a Crater Hoof Behemoth from his Elves deck, and Rob Catton didn't really muster up a massive amount of defence with his Esper Stoneblade deck, but things may very well change post-boarding. I'm here with Lee Houldsworth, and what sort of sideboarding do you think we're going to be seeing from these players?
I don't think Quentin will be bringing in the Progenitors plan. It's more for against the attrition matchups. Well, this may seem like an attrition matchup. It's not. He's not got. Rob doesn't have him to Thorax and things like that. Rob's probably brought in some engineered explosives, maybe a Perish, which is quite good. He may. I'm not sure if he is playing it, but he may have a Engineer Plague, which kind of leads me to think Quentin's probably boarded in his Abrupt Decays, because he has to deal with Jitter anyway. So they brought in his Artifact Destruction, which will probably be 2 Abrupt Decays, a Harmonic Slither, and maybe another creature to deal with it, I'm not sure.
Do you think he may have a Viridian Shaman available or something like
could
that?
be Viridian Shaman. That is an elf as well, so...
Yeah, that's a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman.
There he is again.
Now, one of the cards making a big splash in both Legacy and Modern, but not making so much of one in Standard, really, at the moment.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's got enough to do in Standard. It's not consistent, because there's no fetch lands, I think. He's not a consistent turn 1 mana producer.
So what we're looking for in the set after Gatecrash is for them to bring in like all 10 fetch lands now alongside all 10 shop lands, and everyone's a happy bunny apart from those who actually own them at the moment.
They could print the old fetch lands, Wooded Foothills, Windswept Heaths. Then we could have Modern with all the fetches, all the jewels, all the M10 lands.
I thought you were going to say all the old fetch lands like Bad River and things like that from Vision.
Could make some EDH players happy.
Might make some EDH players, but it'd probably make some Standard players very sad. And that's
they'd probably see play.
Yeah, well, it's not like usually those shotlands are coming to play tapped anyway. Anywho, while we were reminiscing about extraordinarily bad cards, Rob has swords the Deathrite Shaman and dropped a Stoneforge Mystic of his own. So,
did he? I think he fetched GT there as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it's. I think it'd be a grave mistake not to, unless he already has it in his hand. Do you think he might bring in the Sword of Feast and Famine for this?
It depends how many cards he has to take out, really. I mean, it's not bad against Quentin. I don't think it's particularly that good.
I mean, Quentin can't block the creature with it on, right? So you're pretty much always going to get a hit in with it.
Yeah, you're always going to get a hit in with your Lingering Souls tokens as well. So, I mean, the main reason I'd want the sword in is to get through with my GT.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the things is with that creature especially, why would Symbiote come in from Quentin? Quentin can actually stop counters going on the Jitty if he's got.
Yeah, it's quite a good creature to manage that with, because you can just bounce the creature back to your hand.
Yep. So he's made Wildwood Symbiote, and I believe that's Findorn Elves.
Yep. So that's a Llanowar Elves with a different name.
Yep. They've done this. Just saying, all of those of you who are complaining at SCGIQ and Remove Souls, they were doing this way before Wizards were releasing the same card with a different name way before M10 happened. So Rob just passing the turn back on through there. He's probably just looking to flash in his Jitty at this point.
Yeah, he'll flash in his Jitty. There's nothing pressing he needs to deal with. I mean, it's not actually going to do a lot if that Wildwood Symbiote's still on the board, so it's not an ideal situation to be in.
No.
I mean, if he has GT Swords to Plowshares, that's fantastic.
Would Rob more than likely have access to Supreme Verdict as well, do you think?
He probably does have at least one in his day. Elvish Visionary is an interesting one, with a Wildwood Symbiote on the table.
Interesting as in very powerful.
Yeah. You wouldn't think it would be very powerful in a format like Legacy, just being able to pick up your card and then untap your Findorn Elves and then play it again. You wouldn't think that was a powerful interaction in a format that's seen by some, maybe the less experienced Legacy players, of turn 1 kills, a bit like the Wild West or something.
I always find that sort of argument towards older formats is very strange because, as someone who's played older formats, I would say that although you have to be very good in the early turns of those formats, it's actually quite rare to see a just straight up kill that early in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Force of Will kind of is the fun police on turn one kill, so to speak. Because that card exists and is legally legacy, you can't go all in because it's just like remove this blue card, counter your kill condition, and then you're up. You're a bit sad.
Mm. But I suppose a lot of players would be like, well, that just stops certain cards becoming dominant, or certain deck types becoming dominant.
Which is fine. I think Force of Will's a necessary thing. I mean, it's not ideal when you're having to him yourself, basically.
That is true.
It is significant disadvantage when you're using it.
Do you think that there's a little bit of a balance in Legacy being struck up at the moment? Because I've certainly seen deck lists recently where the number of Force of Wills has been taken down from what most people think of as a mandatory 4 of in a deck. A lot of players are trying to get away with 3 and a 4th in the board.
Yeah, it's because combos on the decline, because there's a lot of really good cheap black discard being played, and a lot of wastelands. And Rogue Delver and Bug Delver and all the bug decks kind of really clamp down on the amount of combo that's allowed to be played. So when you're in those matchups where Force of Will is not necessary, it is just a bad counter. I mean, sometimes it's fine, you can protect your Jace, you're trying to resolve with it on turn 4. But if you try and Force of Will something in those matchups and then they daze you, like, you're so far behind in cards and without any real way to recoup them.
Yep. We've got an Inquisition here from Rob. What are we seeing on Quentin's side there?
It's a Natural Order, a Dryad Arbor, Fetch Land, and some other stuff.
I think it was Deathrite Shaman and Nettle Sentinel were in there as well. So it's a pretty powerful hand going on there. And Rob's attacking with his Stoneforge Mystic, and I believe Quentin's just going to pick up his Elvish Visionary here and deny any counter action.
Yep, that would be the best thing to do for him. It's also something to note, it's an actual cost to return, so you're not actually able to respond once the ability has been announced.
Yeah, you're able to respond to the, I believe, is it untap an elf Wild Symbiote?
Yeah, you can respond before the elf untaps. However, the returned creature is returned.
Yeah, you can't stop it happening. And Rob has just swords the Wild Symbiote there, so that's definitely bad news for Quentin at that point. Do you think that the timing on that was a little bit odd?
It seems a little bit off. If he swords it first and attacks, Quentin has to act. He's in a really bad position. Like, Rob might lose his Stoneforge Mystic at that point, because he could fetch up. If he boarded in his second Dryad Arbor, he could have fetched up his second Dryad Arbor and double blocked, but then Quentin's got no board. Rob's got a jitter with 2 counters on it. I don't know which side of the table I'd prefer to be on in that situation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what side I want to be on as well. Maybe if Rob feels like he doesn't have, because he's low on cards in hand at this point. So if maybe if he felt that Stoneforge Mystic really has to be able to turn sideways, or otherwise he's sort of digging for something to put that jitty on, and maybe he doesn't feel like 2 counters is going to be enough.
That could be the case. He could have just maybe hoped that Quentin didn't know how his cards work. I mean, I've seen some players make mistakes with their own cards quite often.
Yeah.
I mean, but after game 1, when someone with Elves demonstrates going off properly and they're announcing all the triggers, you'd expect them to know what they're doing.
Yeah. And to be honest, if I was playing someone like Quentin, I'd pretty much assume that he knows exactly what he's doing for the most part. Quentin just searching through his library here.
Maybe it's possible that Rob thought the Wild Symbiote's actually an elf, whereas it's actually an insect.
Yeah.
So it can't bounce itself. Maybe that's what he was playing around, even though he didn't need to.
Mm. I mean, also the fact that if we did read it correctly and that card is Natural Order in Quentin's hand, he could potentially just go for it right here. If he has boarded his Progenitus in.
He could just try and make a fat monster and go have a go at Rob now.
If he hasn't boarded his Progenitors in though at this point, that natural order's sort of just sitting there until he can combo off a bit more.
He
isn't it?
can get a Regal Force. It doesn't do anything. He doesn't get to draw a card, but it is a 5/5. Crater Who Behemoth gets in for 5, I guess. Is it 6? It counts itself, doesn't it? So 6 damage.
It's not the most impressive thing in the world. That is natural order, but Rob has the force of will for it.
I assume because Quentin went through there, he probably has brought his Progenitors in.
Which
I guess it's because he thinks Rob might have some Engineer Plagues, and Progenitors does fight GT quite well.
Yep.
Because it is a thing.
Yep, and therefore the Progenitors has protection from it. So that's a rather unfortunate set of circumstances there for Quentin. He's sacrificed his last creature, and now he's just looking straight down the barrel of a Stoneforge Mystic armed with a Jitty.
Yeah, I don't see him winning from this point. He's only out his natural order, I think. Or if you can draw a creature to deal with the Jitty.
Green Sun Zenith for Harmonic Sliver if he's got it over Idian Shaman. Can still get him out of this. Would you just build up counters on the Jitty at this point if you're Rob?
That feels like it'd be, unless he's got Counter Magic in hand, I don't know what's in his hand, I would just be killing everything he has on the board.
Yeah. That's Elvish Visionary for Quentin.
But the flip side to that is, having the counters on means Quentin has to play around them.
Yeah. It also means that Quentin can't just drop like a wild symbiote to another guy and just go nuts for a turn.
Yeah. I think the leaving things in play is safer against the Glimpse plan, but weaker against the Progenitor's natural order plan.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that if Rob had killed the Deathrite Shaman there, and Quentin had untapped and gone Wild Symbiote Elvish Visionary, then Rob would be back under the thumb, really, at that point.
There is the Elvish Visionary.
And Quentin has just laid his 5th land, so that's a little bit of a flood for an elf deck, isn't it, to hit 5 land like that?
Yeah, definitely. You only want 1 or 2.
How many lands are is the elf deck playing normally?
Between 17 and 19.
Of which, how many are fetches?
I believe 8 to 10. And 4 Cradles. And a Dryad Arbor. Something like that, anyway.
So it's like all these non-basics. Just seems weird to me for a mono green deck, or what's essentially a mono green deck, to be like have virtually all of its lands be vulnerable to wasteland.
Yeah, you have 1 forest, and you generally fetch that up on turn 1 every game.
Quentin's still in his turn here, probably figuring out how the heck he's going to deal with that Jitty.
Moving his cards around his hand rather quickly, see if he can change them.
I don't think that trick's ever worked for me, to tell you the truth.
I haven't managed to pull it off either.
Usually those 3 lands have stayed 3 lands, they haven't suddenly morphed into a creature. Yep, it is now Rob's turn.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see that Jitty go up to 4 counters, unless Quentin's got a pretty severe backup plan here. I mean, he can't even double block the Stoneforge, can he?
Because he gets to pump.
Yep, the Jitty triggers and goes up to 4 counters. So now he more than likely can go into the kill all your dudes plan, because he can still have a counter left on it.
Yeah, and with that fetch landing play, Quentin could just fetch up Dryad Arbor anyway to get his natural order off. There's not much Rob can do about it anyway.
Okay, so Rob has used 2 counters and he's killed the Deathrite Shaman. Quentin is fetching. Are you going to? Is it going to be Dryad Arbor? Do we think? Or is
he doesn't. He wants to leave it in his deck, so he can't. Oh yeah, it is Dryad Arbor. But you could. Maybe he's trying to bait him using another counter. Because that's the problem about GT. You can't just let it build up counters. You've got to keep beating it down.
Yeah, I think that's what Quentin might be aiming for here, to try and get Rob to use all of his counters, and then like why would Symbiote plus our guy means that the Jitty won't get counters on it anymore. Beats from Quentin with his Elvish Visionary there.
Yep.
And 3 mana. Harmonic
There is
Sliver.
Harmonic Slither.
Is that one card in Rob's hand might be Force of Will?
Yep.
Yep, it's a hard cast Force of Will.
Which still does him technically 1 point of damage because he had to fetch.
Well, technically, yeah. But worst counter spell ever, but it does actually still counter a spell.
You'd be surprised how often that happens in Legacy. The game goes long, you just hard cast Force of Will.
If he snapcasters back Force of Will, I will be very, very impressed.
You'll also be surprised the amount of people who don't realise Force of Will actually has a casting cost.
Alright, it's expensive, but, you know. In with the Stoneforge again, putting it now on 3 counters. Wow, nice top decks from Rob here. I'm not sure that was necessary, but...
Plan C is definitely not going to work for Quentin this game. He's not going to win this game by turning guys sideways.
No, I think
unless they are rather large.
I think we are looking at Abrupt Decay or pretty much nothing there. There we go. Whoa, Quentin reacted. That was a little bit quick there. He's put that Wirewood Symbiote in play and picked up the Elvish Visionary, and not too sure if Rob's had time to react there.
Yeah, I think he's questioning the fact that he didn't really have time to react, because obviously he wants to kill the Wirewood Symbiote with the Visionary still on the stack.
Well, it looks like we're going to have a judge call here, guys, so we will bring it back after the judge ruling has been made. Okay, guys, we are back. We do apologise for that. The judge at the table has ruled that Quentin acted a little bit hastily in pulling the creature up there, so the play has essentially been rewound. In response, obviously, to any further action, Rob is going to eat the Wirewood Symbiote using the Jitty, and it looks like this is all over by the shouting now.
Yeah, I think there was also some confusion to how many counters were left on the Jitty as well.
Yeah, there was.
That sorted out.
Yeah, I think our guy watching the table sorted that one out, but I'm not too sure it's going to matter a lot at this point.
Turns out GT is hard to beat with creatures.
Yeah, I mean the Harmonic Sliver would have done it if that last card in hand wasn't Force of Will from Rob. So, you know, Quentin's definitely had opportunities in this game, even though his opponent has had a couple of jitties.
Yeah, it's like if the Harmonic Slither resolves, then he's got a Symbiote Visionary going, and he should be able to pull ahead with that.
Yep. But Quentin has thrown in the towel on this one, and this game is going to go to 1-1, and we will join you very shortly for Game 3.
Is it another round?